Texas Motor Speedway was possibly the best track in the sport in the early 2000s. Of these races, the 2000 Spring Race was the craziest with a whopping 12 cautions and produced a surprising winner. Right before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Anyways, let's get into it. The 2000 season kicked off hot, with 6 different race winners in 6 races, and a mix of veterans and quick young guns in Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. You knew the 7th race of the season was going to deliver just based on the starting lineup. Terry Labonte snagged the pole for the first time since 1996. Behind him, Kevin LePage started second, his third top 5 start in the first 7 races. Scott Pruitt, who had DNQ'd in 3 of the first races, started third, with Dale Jr. in 4th. Adam Petty, making his Cup debut, started 33rd in a 3rd Petty Enterprises entry. Anyways, let's get right into the race.
Green, and we're racing in Texas.
Terry Labonte jumped out to the lead early, with Pruitt settling into second. Surprisingly, rookie Scott Pruitt passed Labonte for the lead on lap 3. This had to be a complete shock, considering Pruitt had not only DNQ'd 3 times already this season, but had finished worse than 40th in 2 of his first 3 career starts. The next lap, Dale Jr. got by Labonte for second. On lap 6, the mid-pack battle heated up with Chad Little and Ricky Rudd making contact in front of a massive pack of cars from about 15th to 30th place. By lap 9, the top 3 were nose to tail, with LePage almost getting by Labonte and moving to 3rd. On lap 16, Dale Jr. got by Pruitt finally, but behind them Steve Park got into the back of him, and Pruitt ended up spinning into the outside wall.
Turns him around. Caution is out, and everyone else will drive through that smoke screen to the caution flag as Steve Park and Scott Pruitt make contact.
Steve Park just barely touched him as they were entering out of turn 4 there, and it was just enough to turn him there.
Super gut-wrenching for Pruitt, who led only 10 more laps all season. He finished the season with 6 DNQs and 11 DNFs. Everyone came down pit road, including Elliott Sadler, who spun out trying to avoid contact. On the restart, Mike Skinner jumped to the lead after passing Joe Nemechek.
Absolutely disgusted that they didn't get him out sooner.
We're back under green. Mike Skinner.
Both drivers only took 2 tires, so they jumped a lot of the field. Rusty Wallace was able to get by Skinner quickly. Wallace was trying to have back-to-back wins and become the first 2-time winner of the season. After the restart, the race settled into a groove. There was good racing further down the pack, but for the most part, the leaders stayed in the same positions. Some notables down the field were Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon. Neither of them had cracked the top 15 all day. On lap 80, most of the field came down pit road for green flag pit stops. After a good stop by Junior's crew, he was able to close on Wallace, but before he could make a move, the second caution was out, this time for Stacey Compton. Compton's Cup career left much to be desired, but was able to find some success in the Busch Series between 2002 and 2006. The second restart was much more interesting since there were now a lot of lapped cars. Bobby Labonte continued to lead until the next caution on lap 112.
And we've just had an incident over in turn number 2. Let's get back with the story. Here's Mike Joy.
Big crash up in turn 2, and there is one of the cars involved, Jeff Gordon again.
The crash started with Jeff Gordon getting into the back of Jerry Nadeau and Bill Elliott getting into the back of Gordon. Elliott ramped over Gordon's car after getting tagged again by Johnny Benson.
Really got Nadeau started on this wreck. Johnny Benson just caught up in the middle there, had nothing to do with it. Did a great job not to wipe his car out.
And the 2 Dallas-Fort Worth sponsored cars, Nadeau's and Benson.
After another good stop, Dale Jr. hopped out to the lead, but on the restart there was another crash.
Into Elliott Sadler, and Marlin goes for a ride.
Go pace car, go. Man, the pace car was going down pit road. It looked like Sterling was on his way into there.
Racing back to the line, Tony Stewart got back by Jr. to get back to the lead lap. Sterling Marlin got stuck in the mud due to heavy rain the day before and needed to be pushed out.
Sadler on the outside, and the problem, Marlin got squeezed up and right in. to Sadler, and then Sadler had trouble getting going to speed.
Junior got a good restart as Bobby Labonte was unable to clear lap traffic easily. After about 10 laps, second place Labonte wasn't even able to see Junior. Just a handful of laps later, the fifth caution of the day came out for another wreck.
Welcome back to Fort Worth. Another Texas twister has claimed Johnny Benson. You see Benson climbing out of the Beverly Chevrolet, and also involved is John Andretti.
Ricky Rudd checked up, and in reaction, Johnny Benson overcorrected and made hard contact with the outside wall. John Andretti also got caught up in the mess.
You could hear the RPMs that really get up there as the back started around on Benson's car.
A handful of leaders pitted, including the top two. Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace opted not to pit and led the field to green. Ward Burton jumped out front to get to the lead lap. Meanwhile, Wallace was able to get past Jarrett for the race lead. Dale Jr. and Bobby Labonte were now up to 4th and 5th. On lap 155, debris brought out the caution, but there was a bit of a weird sequence of events racing back to the line. Dale Jarrett tried to slow down enough in turn 3 and 4 to let his teammate, Ricky Rudd, pass to get back on the lead lap. But doing so, Rusty Wallace was able to pass Jarrett for the lead. There was a gentleman's agreement among the drivers at the time to not race back to the line unless you were racing to get your lap back. Although the rule was not banned until 2003, the teams and drivers were advocating against the rule for many years prior. Rusty Wallace was immediately challenged by Jarrett for the lead, with Jarrett prevailing. This was the 20th lead change of the day already, with the Texas track record being just 24 lead changes before this race. A handful of laps later, when Dale Jr. was pushing Wallace for second, the 7th caution of the day came out for Gary Bradbury.
Turn 4, that is Gary Bradbury.
The leaders pitted under caution, but for the first time all day, Dale Jr. had a bad pit stop and got shuffled back. Some pit road strategy cycled Ricky Rudd, Jeremy Mayfield, Bobby Labonte, and Steve Park to the top 4 positions. Ricky Rudd lost the lead and fell back to 4th place after getting stuck on the high line. Jeremy Mayfield inherited the lead and was looking to make up for the previous race in Bristol, where he led over 100 laps but faded late to finish 4th. Dale Jr. made his way up to 7th, the highest of any driver who took 4 tires under the last caution. Jeff Burton made a move on Bobby Labonte for 2nd. Burton had to take a provisional after some qualifying woes and started 37th. After cracking the top 15 earlier in the race, he had a long pit stop and worked his way to the front again. Now, he looked like the fastest car in the field. In less than 10 laps, he was all over the back of Mayfield and took the lead on lap 198 with about 135 to go.
We definitely have a race. They're side by side, but now you see the 99 of Jeff Burton take the lead down in turn 1.
On lap 220, Adam Petty retired from the race from a blown engine. This would be the 19-year-old's first and only career start in the Cup Series. Unfortunately, his dad, Kyle Petty, missed the show, so they were unable to race together in the Cup Series. Adam would tragically pass away about 1 month later during a practice session at New Hampshire. Green flag pit stop started on lap 233. Burton and Labonte came to pit road while Dale Jr. pitted a lap later. During the pit cycle, Jeff Fuller crashed and brought up the 8th caution of the day.
Ball hard, it's Jeff Fuller.
And there's going to be a lot of cars that are going to be called a lap down here, as a couple of cars had not pitted. Kevin LePage and Chad Little had not pitted.
Chad Little and Kevin LePage were yet to pit, so many competitive cars were stuck a lap down. Matt Kenseth, Ricky Rudd, Ward Burton, and more were caught out by the caution. On the restart, it was Bobby Labonte who led the field to green, but he wasn't the leader. Because of how NASCAR used to line up cars and how Kevin LePage and Chad Little caught the pace car, they were in the middle of the pack but scored as the top 2 in the field. Labonte and Jr. led the field, but once again were not the leaders and were actually scored in 3rd and 4th. Just a couple of laps later, Dale Jarrett crashed and brought out the 9th caution. This would evaporate LePage and Little's huge lead.
He got hit by the 4 car going into turn 1.
Caution flag. Where are the leaders? More cars spin. LePage to bring them around to the flag. Now he will let off, and all of these cars in front of him will come back on the lead lap and be able to catch up to LePage and Chad Little, because the pace car will not pick up the front cars in the pack. It will wait for the official race leader, Kevin LePage.
Exactly.
LePage led the field to green, but held up the entire outside lane, allowing a couple cars to unlap themselves. LePage tried his hardest, but wasn't able to hold off Labonte on the restart. Dell Jr. settled into second, while Labonte was still stuck behind the cars who unlapped themselves on the restart. Another restart, another crash, this time for Rick Mast and Joe Nemechek.
Turn 4, 1 car around and sliding down. It is Joe Nemechek. And spinning to the infield is Rick Mast off turn 4. And caution is out for the 10th time today.
Labonte led the field on the restart, but Jr. was right behind them and had track position for the first time since the middle of the race. Jr. got by very easily after Labonte led him around on the backstretch. Kevin LePage was actually hanging on to the top 2 and opened a gap to 4th place Jeff Burton. On lap 269, Jeff Burton passed LePage for 3rd and was able to start chasing the top 2. 4 laps later, on lap 273, Ed Barrier leaked oil all over the backstretch, leading to the 11th caution. Dell Jr. came out first of the cars who took 4 tires, but Steve Park, Rusty Wallace, and Matt Kenseth all came out ahead after only taking 2. Steve Park maintained the lead on the restart, but by the next lap, Matt Kenseth had been swallowed by cars who took 4 tires. The next lap it was Wallace's turn to be swallowed by the field, and suddenly Dell Jr. was all over the back of Steve Park. He stormed past Park, who was also looking for his first career Cup win. On lap 288, Matt Kenseth hit the wall hard and brought out the 12th caution. Kenseth was running in 6th, trying to score his first career top 5 in the Cup Series.
He's going into the turn, buddy, all by himself.
You could see it wiggle just a little bit getting in there. Now it turned around. Watch it hit on the left side of that race car very hard in the wall. Now here's where he was lucky. Everybody goes by without contact.
The final restart came on lap 296, with Jr. still leading. Bobby Labonte was all over the back of him for a couple laps, but slowly started to fade. About 15 laps later, Jeff Burton was able to catch Labonte and fought him for a lap on the inside lane. By the exit of turn 4, Burton completed the pass and moved into second. Now, with 15 to go, Dell Jr. was 3 seconds ahead of Burton and just needed to keep his cool. He did just that and scored his first career win in only his 12th start. Burton finished second, about 5 seconds back, while Kevin LePage scored a top 5. Senior came home in 7th, but rushed to victory lane. This, of course, is possibly the most iconic victory lane celebration, with both Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Senior celebrating in victory lane. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. This was a really good race, one of my favorites, so I hope you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.